Okay, so for my first video, I'd like to derive the formula for the shortcuts for 45-45 right triangles. The shortcut allows us to find the leg or the hypotenuse for a 45-45 right triangle given one of the other pieces. Okay, so let's draw a 45-45 right triangle. Okay, you can tell that's a 45-45 because this is marked as isosceles and a right triangle, so therefore these angles are the same, and it's a 45-45 right triangle. Let's start off by calling one of the legs x. Since it's isosceles, the other leg is also x. And then since it's a right triangle, with the denoted by the right angle mark right there, we know we can use the Pythagorean theorem. So this would be the square root of x squared plus x squared. Now for some of you, you may not be able to jump right to using the radical like I do here, but just back up, use the Pythagorean theorem using a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You're solving for c squared, and you'd see that this is equal to the sum of the square of the two legs. Okay, so this simplifies to be square root of 2x squared, because x squared plus x squared would be 2x squared, which then simplifies to be square root of 2 times square root of x squared. Okay, the square root of 2 will be left as the square root of 2. The square root of x squared can be simplified as x. If we were solving an actual equation, and we write x times the square root of 2. Didn't make that very clean here. I think I'll clean that up. So x times the square root of 2. Okay, so if we were solving a, as I was saying, we were solving a equation, and we were taking the square root of x squared, we'd have to use the absolute value of x. But this is a triangle, so you can't have a negative side anyway, so we can ignore that absolute value. Okay, so this gives us the rule. So we can multiply by square root of 2 to go from the leg to the hypotenuse. So this is multiply by square root of 2. Okay, if we're going this way, we have to do the opposite of multiplying by square root of 2. We have to divide by square root of 2. So divide by square root of 2, and that will go from the hypotenuse to the leg. Okay, so that's basically the rules we need to use. And now let's do another actual example of doing this. So let's say we're given a triangle, and we're asked to find the missing sides of the triangle. Okay, let's say this is marked as a 45-45 that way, and they tell us that one of the sides is 7. Okay, so if that's 7, then we know this side is also 7. And then, using this rule, we know that all we have to do is multiply by square root of 2 to get the hypotenuse. So this would be 7 times square root of 2. Okay? So that's pretty simple. Let's change colors here so we can tell we're going to a new thing. So now let's do one final example. Okay, pretty ugly triangle there. So let's say this is, call it 10. If that's 10, and this is an isosceles right triangle, then we know that all we have to do is divide that 10 by square root of 2 to get to this leg. So this leg is going to be 10 over square root of 2. Okay, that can be rationalized by multiplying by square root of 2 over square root of 2, giving us 10 square root of 2 over 2, which of course the 10 and the 2 then simplify to give us 5 square root of 2. Okay, so that's the missing leg. The other missing leg is the same. It's also 5 square root of 2. And it's that simple. You need to be able to remember those to be able to do further math. They get used a lot in pre-calculus and again in calculus. So thank you for listening, and that would be the end of my first video.